Hi. So today's question from Lynn, who's taking my course, How to Write Better Headlines. And she asks the question, do I write the page's headline first or last? What she's asking here, she explained in a bit more depth in her email. Like when I sit down to write a page of copy or content, do I first write the headline and then write the body text underneath? Or do I write the kind of whole page and then write the headline last? The answer for me actually is I kind of do both, and I'll explain that. But I want to emphasize this is like how I do it, and different writers do this in different ways. I think a lot of writers sit down and spend a lot of time on the headline before they even get to any body text. I know people who will, go through 20, 30, 40 versions of a headline until they're happy with it, and then they start on the body text. That's not actually how I do it. So let me just explain how I do it, and then you've got to figure out what's going to work best for you. What I do is I have a blank sheet of paper or a blank document, more commonly on my computer, and I just throw in a headline basically as a placeholder. I mean, I know it's rubbish. I know it's not going to be the final headline. And I don't think over all the years I've been doing this that the first headline I've written down ever has proved to be the final version. But I do it just to kind of break the blank page. Gives me something to do. So it's something to sort of hang the first few paragraphs from. Then I start writing the body text, like I say, whether a sales letter or content, could be something for a newsletter, could be an email. And I keep writing. And what happens is, I think in common with a lot of writers, I think by writing. So I've got this kind of rough headline. Basically, it's just kind of what I want to say, but I haven't figured out quite how to say it yet. I have my first few lines of text, and now my mind is furiously kind of thinking and focusing, thinking by writing, and then often I will get to a point where I go, okay, and I finally hit it, and I think, okay, that's how I should open this. So I go back, I scroll back up, I change the headline, then I go back down, I keep writing, and very often I'll have another little light bulb will go off and say, okay, a better way of saying that, of opening, would have been, and I go back up and I adjust the headline again. So I've got this kind of revolving, scrolling up and down process. Something else tends to happen, and that is that when I change the headline, and particularly if I change it significantly, I look at the first few lines or paragraphs and think, I got to change those two now, because I've kind of, the way I've changed the headline now is it kind of changed the whole opening focus of this page. So I've got to now rewrite those first few lines or first few paragraphs. And sometimes if I make a really significant change to the headline as I go through the body, I will change the headline, then I'll look in fact at all the body text that I've written and think to myself, you know what, I got to change it all. Now, if it's just one page of text, that's okay. But I'm thinking back to an example a couple of years ago where I was writing a very long piece, probably 15 pages of text, and I made a significant change to the headline. And I desperately wanted to be able to hang on to all that work I'd done, but I couldn't, because I kind of changed the focus and direction so significantly with that headline change that I actually had to change all of that text, all of that copy. So how many times might I revise that headline during this process? I don't know, 5, 10, 20. It really depends on the piece. And it also depends on how familiar I am with that topic when I begin. So if it's something that I know a huge amount about, like say coffee, I know a lot about coffees, I can probably get there faster, just simply because I know the subject matter so well. If I'm writing on something that I'm not so familiar with, it'll probably take me more iterations, more versions, more kind of scrolling up and down and that kind of revolving process of revisions. So like I said at the outset, this really is me. Other people do it different ways, but I find it really helpful to leave things a little open. In other words, not for me, it doesn't work for me to do kind of 20 versions of the headline before anything else on the page and then kind of drop in that headline as if it were set in stone and then write the text underneath that. I kind of know from experience that as I get into the body text, I'm going to get kind of more insights, and maybe find just smarter, better, more engaging, more interesting ways to write that headline. And like I say, it's part of this kind of thinking by writing process that happens certainly in my mind. So Lynn, I hope that's a useful answer and not just a confusing answer, but the answer is really I do a bit of each. I start off with a placeholder headline and I'm constantly kind of revolving back and improving it until I'm finally done with both the headline and all the body text on that page. Thanks.